as Jeff Weaver, Bernie Sanders campaign manager, looks on. Lots to discuss. And interestingly, Donald Trump has been really hammering of late, Jeff, this idea that the primary system is crooked and it's rigged. Right. And there does seem to be at least a tangential point of agreement between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump on this issue, especially with regard to the closed primary.
Well,
in New York.
I wouldn't say it's, I'm not going to say it's crooked. I mean, obviously, the senator does very well with independent voters, which is one of the reasons why he does so well in general election matchups. And so when you have a primary or caucus that allows independents to participate, he does much better.
He's attracted massive crowds. We've seen them. The campaign said almost 30,000 people in Prospect Park over the weekend. And yet, it's not just that the independents can vote. New York has historically seen low voter turnout, as it very often, we're calling this a crucial primary. That is not an adjective often applied to a New York primary of any kind. What are you doing to make sure that registered Democrats get out and vote today?
Well, we have hundreds of people calling on the phone to make sure that our supporters get out to vote. We've had people going door to door throughout the city and all throughout the state. So we have a very, very aggressive ground game going on here in New York State to try to get out as many people as possible. I mean, we think if there's more people coming out, that's better for the senator. In
terms of optics, a loss by Hillary Clinton today would be nothing really short of disastrous for her campaign at present. She does, though, have this comfortable lead. We've seen leads like this in states like Michigan, where Bernie Sanders closed the gap. But if the race swings today in her favor, if what the polls show actually comes to pass, does the strategy change for the campaign moving forward?
No, look, it's clear that we have to win most of the states going forward. In fact, when I say most, the vast majority, but we don't have to win them all. It is a delegate race after all, and this is a proportional representation system. So even if we were to come up a little bit short today, the senator would still accumulate a tremendous amount of delegates.
We've also discussed here super delegates. The campaign, in fact, has faced some scrutiny of late. There have been reports that Sanders supporters have been harassing delegates looking to switch their support from the former secretary to the Vermont senator. Your reaction?
Well, you say the campaign, so it's not the campaign. There are people out there apparently.
Supporters.
Yeah, supporters. Well, that's different than the campaign. But we've encouraged all of our supporters to help us. If they want to help encourage people to vote, they should participate in our, we have a program where they can call from their home to voters in the next state that's voting, and we think that's a much better way for them to help the campaign if they want to do that.
In speaking to the candidate, he has said that obviously flipping these superdelegates is a crucial component, and showing them that he is worth the flip in contests like today's is all important. He also said yesterday, I'm going to Philadelphia. If the superdelegates, though, aren't flipping at that point, if there's a sense that his continued presence and taking it to the floor will, in fact, divide the party, what then?
Well, the superdelegates don't actually vote until the convention, so there's no way to know which way the superdelegates are going to go until you get there, right? I mean, people have public announcements of who they're supporting, but those aren't binding in any way. They can change at any time.
Is there a sense? Are you is the campaign tracking how people might be leaning, however?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we have a room where the giant wall has every superdelegate's name on it, color-coded in 90 different ways. So we are tracking. We communicate regularly with the superdelegates about the progress of the campaign.
Jane Sanders suggested recently, the candidate's wife, that concessions could theoretically be made with regard to the Democratic nominating process. How much has that been discussed, again, if this race starts to turn heavily in the former secretary's favor?
Well, I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I think the senator's going to do well here. Polling shows a very close race in Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Connecticut. There's also Delaware and Maryland where the senator will do well. And then after that, we go into a string of states where I think the senators probably will, could potentially run the table: Oregon, West Virginia, Kentucky, and then we're going to go into California and New Jersey. So there's a long way to go. There's tons of delegates left to acquire. So it's just not going to turn that way.
The acquisition, I know, continues as we speak. I want to ask you one thing before we let you go. A lot of pressure on to release these secret 28 pages of the 9/11 report. I know the candidate was asked on CBS this morning if he'd read them, because he can, and he said he hadn't. Why not?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to him about it, so. I don't know the answer.
I mean, he said in responding to our Nora O'Donnell, it's because I don't want to be able to answer questions about it. Is that about? I know you haven't spoken, but
well, that's what he said.
Characterization.
That's what he said. Then I'll stand by it.
All right. We know you have a lot to do today. We do appreciate the time.
Well, thanks for having me.